both real options. India and Russia have been strong partners for decades, yet their economic relationship has never reached its full potential. Both sides want to correct that. Russia is wary of over-dependence on China, and India is wary of over-reliance on the United States, specifically after our experience with Trump. The target of $100 billion in trade by 2030 is meant to anchor a more diversified external economic agenda, but the two countries are nowhere near realizing that. The only reason we've got close to that is because India has spent upwards of $50 billion importing oil. So the overall trade settles at around $68 or $69 billion or somewhere there. With India now a $4 trillion economy and Russia a $2 trillion one, there's plenty of room for growth in energy, defense production, minerals and high-value agriculture. And India is expecting a lot of things to come out of this visit, significantly strengthened bilateral economic cooperation. We're hoping that President Putin, accompanied by major business delegations, is going to sign a flurry of deals, which will also mean that India ends up exporting more to Russia and that trade becomes more balanced. And new avenues being developed to boost Indian exports, as I just suggested, viewers, in a large number of sectors, expanded market access for Indian businesses to drive job creation and support farmer incomes, multiple agreements in shipping, healthcare, fertilizers, connectivity, enhanced cooperation, anticipating people-to-people ties, whole plethora of expectations. This prompts some basic questions. Between Russia and India, has one been less reluctant than the other to enhance the full scope of the relationship? Let's put some of those questions out. I want to first go across to Kamal Sibal, who is still here with us. Mr. Sibal, what do you think on this one particular issue? Why is it that despite these decade-long ties, you've been witness to some very monumental moments, there seems to be a reluctance to go deeper, broader, wider?
Yes, on the trade side, this is true. We've been trying very hard to boost our trade ties, but we've never been able to achieve significant results. For example, we have great strengths in pharmaceuticals, but we've not been able to penetrate the Russian market beyond a point because Russia, before, of course, all the sanctions regime was imposed and their relations with Europe collapsed. They preferred buying German pharmaceuticals. They had more confidence in their quality and this and that and that. And that is one, the lack of awareness and lack of confidence in high quality Indian products. Actually, the Russians are not unaware of India's strengths. After all, they've seen how much trade India is doing with the United States. In fact, the United States is upset that we sell more to them than we buy from them. And on the services sector, we are providing, in this sector, we are actually very, very successful in the United States, in Europe and elsewhere. In the advanced, highly regulated, highly demanding economies, we are doing very well. But with Russia, we've not been able to make that kind of penetration in these sectors. So this has been a problem. But now, as I heard Putin say in one of his long sessions with the investment community in Russia a few months ago, a couple of months ago, that he had instructed his government that Russia must make every effort to expand the India-Russia trade and open up the Russian market to Indian goods. Now that they're under sanctions, they want to be able to reach out to India. The problem here is, again, there's a problem. China is next door. China is the biggest manufacturing country in the world. China can provide them all the consumer goods and other things that they want. And they have a common border. And China is not subject to or accepts sanctions. So they have the support of China in terms of having access to their needs, immediate needs. And India is not in a position to supplant what China can offer them and at prices which China can offer them. But nevertheless, there are areas where we can do that, and Russia wants to have alternative sources so that they're not overly dependent on China. This is a problem. And then we're negotiating this India-Eurasian economic trade agreement with the Eurasian Economic Union, that might help also to open up the Russian and the Central Asian markets for them. It's a work in progress. I don't think we will achieve success very quickly, but we will move in the right direction.
Okay, so let me bring in Dr. Gilbert Doctorow, who's author and Russian expert. Dr. Doctorow, simple question. The data shows Putin has not been very keen on looking at India as a trade partner beyond arms and oil. So I want to ask you, what holds Russia back for the last 2 decades, since at least Putin has been there, 2 decades and a half?
Well, on the Indian side, the problem is not unique to its trade with Russia. You've cited the trade with the United States, but to my knowledge, 70 billion of 100 billion in trade is IT, just as 50 billion of the 68 billion in Russian trade with India is oil. So the problem is that the trade flows are very concentrated in one specific area that is of interest to these two countries. And that is not a good foundation for building trade over the long term. Therefore, it's going to take a lot of creativity by the delegation of Russian businessmen and their counterparts in India to find new solutions. And I believe the code word today is co-production. The Russians have accumulated a vast quantity of rupees, assets, from this unbalanced trade. If that could be tapped to finance Russian investment in Indian production and co-production, of course, that could be a solution, but it will not be a solution for tomorrow. At the same time, I want to call out the whole question of U.S. tariffs on India and what is it all about? I think we're getting off to the wrong footing when we say that it's about the Ukraine-Russian war. It has nothing to do with the Ukraine-Russian war. It has to match up perfectly with the tariffs on Brazil for Mr. Bolsonaro and with the breakup of the relationship with South Africa over the phony issue of genocide. Let's look at these three countries. What are we talking about? We're talking about 3 founding members of BRICS. What Mr. Trump is doing is a frontal assault on BRICS. That's what it's all about. Therefore, you can stop trading with Russian oil tomorrow, and it will not get you off the hook with the United States. The United States will go after India so long as it's an
member of BRICS.
Integral member of BRICS.
Well, that's quite the analysis. Let me bring in Adolfo Franco, Republican strategist and former spokesperson of Trump's 2024 campaign. Is that a fact? Dr. Adolfo, is that what we're looking at? That Trump's game really is to neuter BRICS, and this has got nothing to do with Ukraine and so on and so forth. This is just about breaking up BRICS one at a time.
I don't think it's just about, thank you for the invitation first. I don't think it's just about breaking up BRICS. I think that's just not accurate. I think that is a factor, that is a concern for this administration and the president. There's no question. But if you look at the policy overall regarding trade across the globe, it affects more than just the BRICS country with severe penalties for trade practices or deficits with the U.S. So it's not limited to that. It is a factor. I also disagree. I think the Ukrainian oil, the sale of oil from the Ukrainian war and the sale of oil is a factor as well. So I wouldn't put all the expression, the eggs in one basket. But the BRICS issue, to the other guest's point, is legitimate. There is a question about BRICS, and that has been, of course, I worked on trade agreements way back in the George W. Bush administration under Ambassador Zellick, and that was a concern we had at that time. So that's not a new wrinkle for the Trump administration. But I think a lot of factors go into play beyond just that simple breaking up BRICS.
Well, viewers, you've got a 360 view. Tomorrow, of course, is the big day when the substantive talks will begin. We'll have to keep a hawk eye, really, on what comes out. even resolutions, viewers. So we'll be here all day tomorrow because it's going to be a long day. It starts off at 10 in the morning and goes all the way up till about 8 in the evening, culminating in a banquet at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. So it's going to be a long day, lots to analyze. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Sibal, Dr. Rao, as well as, well, we've kind of lost Mr. Pablo, but thank you very much.